You can now swing from the chandelier in the hideout in Deadlock. After tonight's patch, you'll be able to stand on top of it, and I guess we now know that Yoshi is a Seer fan. Aside from that major change, the Prince of North Ixia has been shining bright and standing tall above all of the new heroes in Deadlock, looking down his nose at them. With his sharpened steel proving too mighty and sheer damage and burst potential of his kit leaving the cursed apple carved to its core, Valve knew it was time to do something. So Yoshi and the Deadlock team have shipped a balance patch to knock Apollo down a peg. Welcome back to Patch Notice here on Dead Air. I'm your host, Jacky Powers, and tonight we're going to be breaking down the Apollo nerfs that have just arrived. I'm sure that you've all become sick of the sheer strength of Apollo when spamming Flawless Advance and itani low sahn to shred through your teammates in seconds. And it looks like Valve have heard your pleas to try and stop the Prince's reign of terror. So be sure to subscribe to Dead Air, and you'll always stay up to date with every Deadlock change. With that said, let's see what they've tweaked on Apollo. Firstly, they fixed slowing Hex not preventing his use of disengaging Sigil. Apollo's first ability opens a vast array of options for movement and quick disengagements during fights. Slowing Hex would normally be a great counter to movement abilities like this, however the Horned Fencer kept brushing it off like it was nothing. Now you'll actually be able to slow him when he's under the effect of slowing Hex. As you can see in these comparisons, he won't be able to bounce away and will be unable to cast the ability whatsoever. Next, they've changed the bonus damage that you'd get from a successful pummel following his riposte. Before tonight's patch, it would grant a negative 15% bullet resistance debuff to the enemy hit by the pummel, allowing some serious burst damage from weapon attacks, whereas now it will instead grant a negative 22% melee resistance debuff, requiring him to hit targets with the hilt of his family heirloom to benefit from the bonus damage. Following on from that, we've got a huge round of adjustments to Flawless Advance, his primary source of damage inside of his kit, so let's take a closer look at that. Firstly, Valve state that they've reduced the radius for hit by around 10%. However, in my tests, you can see that it's still a very forgiving ability radius, with the attack proccing and dealing damage even if the sword misses entirely, and only his body slightly clips near the target. So whilst this is a nerf, it feels very performative, as the cone of attack for Flawless Advance will still be dealing damage even on what feels like a miss from the Fencer. In regards to the actual damage dealt by the ability, the base damage of the attack was reduced by 5, going down from 30 to 25, alongside having its base hold damage spirit scaling reduced from 0.7 to 0.55. They also further nerfed the max hold damage as well, with the flat damage going down by 5 points from 45 to 40, alongside the max hold spirit scaling also being reduced from a spirit growth of 1.1 to 0.9. And additionally, the perfect timing state was reduced in the following ways. Its perfect damage dealt was brought down by 10 points of damage from 75 to 65, with the spirit scaling being reduced from a rate of 1.1 scaling to 0.9% growth per spirit power investment. Additionally, the tier 3 ability point upgrade investment now only grants plus 65 damage to perfect timed lunges, rather than plus 75 damage. By proxy with the spirit power reductions, the spirit power growth that was granted on his tier 3 AP upgrade will now also be indirectly nerfed in its scaling bonus. And lastly, for Flawless Advance, the tier 1 AP upgrade that granted 35 HP heal on hit has been brought down by 5 to 30 health on hit restored. Changing this to slightly reduce some of the self-sustain the ability was allowing Apollo to get back, as it was proving very tricky to take him down, whilst the forgiving nature of the perfect timing window would allow upwards of 105 HP restored in seconds. And thanks again to Daisy, of course, for these amazing graphics to keep you all up to date on the balance changes. Advancing away from his triple threat stab, let's now point our attention at his ultimate, dubbed in Ixian itani low sahn, or in English, I have no equal. Firstly, one good balance change here is that you'll no longer get the ultimate refunded and be given to you off cooldown when interrupted during the cast or hold period of casting itani low sahn, which, if you didn't know by the way, you can hold the cast for as long as you'd like before letting it rip at your enemies. As you'll see in the before and after footage on screen now, it'll be forced into a full cooldown after being knocked out of his ultimate. Another good change is that it will slightly respect line of sight more fairly now. As you can see in the before before footage, you'd be silenced and affected by the damage of the ultimate when standing behind Apollo, whereas however now it should only be targeting and hurting players that are in front of his cone of attack when the ability is cast, although it will still ruin your life around 3 or 4 different corners, so Valve please fix. For the stats side of the ultimate though, it's had some number tweaks in the following categories. You'll have reduced base damage by 25, with the flat damage going down from 250 to 225, and they also scaled back the spirit scaling of the ability from a rate of 1.75 to 1.6. There's been no real changes regarding the very forgiving cooldown that the ultimate has, so be careful late game when you see some builds that allow this to be cast out nearly every 60 seconds or so. All in all, there's some good positives to try and dull the blade of Apollo inside of this balance patch, and from my experience, he absolutely needed some tweaks, with his values and scaling being incredibly high. Don't get it twisted though, he'll still have a forgiving attack radius on Flawless Advance, and be a powerhouse when hitting his power spikes during laning, so if you're a meaner, duck and run for cover. But with that said, that's everything Valve has changed in tonight's balance update. Don't forget to like the video if you enjoyed it and comment your thoughts on these nerfs. Are they enough? Do you think it's too much? Let us know down below. And lastly, a very special thank you to our YouTube members, new and old, who have become deadheads and supported myself and Daisy in creating high quality content here full time. We salute you. If you'd like to be featured in the end credits of Patch Notice, become a deadhead today and join our members program. With that said, I've got to go and slowing hex the Apollo that's just ulted me in lane, so I'll see you next time. Get back out there and bye bye for now.